We be live.
Oh my god.
Hey.
Hey there,
How are
friend.
Well,
Good.
we've been already talking. Let's
Yeah.
stop
Drop the
pretending.
pretenses.
Yeah. We've been lying to you guys. Everybody in the live chat. Every time we go live and we say like, "Hey, Susie, this is just a show." This has all been like we've been already talking for like half an hour before, and we're just saying hi to make it seem like we just, oh hey, Susie, like so. But now we're gonna be honest.
Shocking, I know, right?
Yes, we're
The
gonna be
peek
honest
behind the
with you.
curtain is devastating.
Anyways, but how do we start though if we don't say hi to each other?
Well, we say we be live.
We be live, yes.
That's mandatory.
Yes.
We can just jump right into it.
Yeah, let's jump. Yeah, so we're going to be covering the news on atheism, secularism, everything in between. By the way, I have no idea what the news is going to be every time we go live because Suze is the one who picks the news. So thank you, Suze.
Yeah.
She does. Yeah. So I just show up and I just like discover what we're talking about with you guys in the live. Yeah. Yes. So I am in the same boat as everybody in live chat. I'm discovering, but every once in a while, like maybe like half of the news, less than half, I already heard of it from some other places, but we'll see. All right, so who's in the live chat? I see Qasem, I see the Rabid Atheist, I see Casey, I see Mark, I see Serigo on Facebook. Sergio. I don't know my Sergio. All right. Rod, I see Rod on Facebook as well. Cool. We should get to the first news, right?
Yes. So this is pretty interesting.
Wait, I should clap, right?
Yes, first news. Alabama fails to reverse ban on school yoga as conservatives say they fear rise in Hinduism. This is pretty interesting.
This can't be real.
Oh no, this has been going on for years, Armin. This has been going on for years. Okay, let me get into this. Since 2019, Democratic Representative Jeremy Gray of Opelika has been trying to revoke the ban on yoga from Alabama public schools. His bill would allow school systems to offer yoga as an elective activity, which means like you get to opt into this class instead of taking like a standard PE class or something. On March 31st, representatives from 2 conservative groups said that this bill would promote Hinduism or guided meditation practices. The bill, proposed by Gray, who is a Christian himself, mentions that all yoga instruction shall be limited exclusively to poses and stretching techniques and exclude any chanting, mantras, and namaste greetings. Yet his bill did not advance in the Alabama Senate Judiciary Committee. With 2 members absent, the vote on the bill ended in a tie. Earlier this year, the state's House of Representatives passed a bill to override the ban. Gray expects the bill to come up again before the committee in the coming weeks.
Okay. Wait, so this is in public schools? They're teaching yoga?
Mm-hmm. They're not allowed to teach yoga right now. Even a secular form of yoga.
They're not allowed to teach like just stretching?
In the form of yoga. Because he even, Jeremy Gray, he tried to propose a bill which would revoke the ban, but it would be an exclusively secular yoga. So what he was proposing, so you wouldn't be allowed to do chanting, mantras, or namaste greetings. You wouldn't be allowed to introduce any spiritual practice into the yoga in a public school setting.
But isn't namaste like similar, like, doesn't not necessarily have to have a spiritual meaning? It could just be a greeting way, like in Hindu culture, not just a religion, right? I don't know, like maybe when you're doing martial arts, they have their own way of greetings. whether you're doing kung fu or karate or taekwondo. It's not necessarily religious. I mean, it has ties. I don't know. Like, so wait, so these are Christian politicians, right? Would
Yes.
they have the same? I mean, I know what the answer is, but I'm just gonna ask it anyway. Like, are these? I mean, here's the thing. I would be okay with this if somebody was like being not anti is because they're like anti-Hinduism, but anti-religion as a whole, and they're saying that this whole, if there was reports that stretching like yoga, which has been proven to be beneficial,
Yes.
right? But if they were smuggling in some woo stuff, like I've been to yoga classes, like I would go to because I want to stretch, right?
It's good for you. Yeah.
It's good for you, right? But some of these classes, the teacher starts getting all wooey on you.
Oh yeah.
And
Well,
tells you that, oh my goodness, the spirit of the field, the soul of the planet coming from the energy coming inside of you, and get in the same frequency with the conscious of the universe. I'm like, lady, I'm not joining. I want to stretch. Yeah, I'm like, lady, I'm not here to join a cult. I just want to stretch. Okay. This is like
I'm just here to get my full range of motion.
I'm just here to stretch. Stop with this cultish talk, okay?
Yeah.
So so there's many ifs, right? If this was somebody coming from people who would also be anti-Christian smuggling into the school, which these people aren't, and if there was credible reports that these yoga classes were being used to brainwash kids into some wooey stuff about the conscious of the universe or freak energy or chakras or karma or reincarnation or crap like that, I would be like, yeah, crap this stuff out, crap this stuff up. Stop this crap out. Stop this bolt nonsense and stop brainwashing children.
Yeah.
Stretching is good. Superstitious stuff is not. You can't use public schools to brainwash kids like that. I don't think there's any credible source that these yoga classes are being used like that, and I don't think these Christian politicians would be consistent with other nonsense like Christian superstition, right? Being smuggled. Yeah, you go on.
Well, this is what's funny. So the Democratic representative who was trying to get this ban revoked said this whole notion that if you do yoga, you'll become a Hindu. I've been doing yoga for 10 years and I go to church and I'm very much a Christian. Like, wait, was it? Oh yeah. And then if this ban was revoked, like everything would have to have exclusively English descriptive names. So you weren't allowed to have like Hindi names for the positions.
Right.
Apparently.
So,
and
this is dumb.
Becky Garrettson, director of the Eagle Forum of Alabama, told the committee that yoga is a very big part of the Hindu religion and the bill is not needed because students can do stretches now in school. If this bill passes, then instructors will be able to come into classrooms as young as kindergarten and bring these children through guided imagery, which is a spiritual exercise and it's outside their parents' view. And we just believe that that is not appropriate, the Associated Press quoted her as saying.
By the way, so here's another.
It's so, but
yeah.
Kate has a funny comment, and I think it answers kind of one of your questions. As someone who was raised in the evangelical South of America, I can tell you that anything not from Christianity is seen as witchcraft and satanic, and they have no idea what they are even against most of the time. So I think it's one of those situations, like you're not allowed to say namaste. Like that's just a greeting.
Yeah. I mean,
it's like saying peace be with you, but no,
or salam.
Yeah.
Right? Like salam is not just an Islamic thing. It's just hi in Arabic, right?
Yeah.
So are you gonna
saying namaste is just hello? Like
yeah. Wait, so if you can't say namaste, then can you not say salam either? Because it ties to Islam, even though it's basically there. I mean, if you can't say namaste, then you can't say we shouldn't be able to say Thursday either. Hey, yeah, Thursday means Thor's day, right? So namaste is as religious as Thursday, right? So ban the use of the word on Saturday and Sunday. All of the days in the week, is like not all of them, but a lot of them have ties to gods and just gods, actually, not goddesses. But yeah, that's how loosely these are. Goodbye has God in it, right?
No, but I think Kate's point really stands. It's like and then she continued, they really do try to compare yoga to the Kama Sutra because they don't understand it. So I think it is a large part of they don't understand this practice and they just think it's Hindu indoctrination or something.
Here's the thing, yoga, the original meaning of yoga is a Hindu thing, and it is an ideology beyond stretching that is very much tied into Hindu scripture, but that's not what people mean when they say yoga in Western countries. Okay, so yoga is part of the Hindu religion, and it's beyond stretching. It's not just stretching. It's not just having certain body positions. Okay, you can do the stretching without the spiritual nonsense, and even if you're doing the original yoga, right? You could be in India doing yoga and do the movements without the spiritual nonsense. But even when you add the spiritual nonsense in the Western countries, the spiritual nonsense that they add in Western countries to yoga, some teachers, is completely different from the original Hinduism. That yoga, these people in the West have made up their own wooism, okay, that is just like part of the modern woo movement, these modern religions that came out, right? And this yoga, because it has some ties to some ancient superstition, they just took the movements, and instead of adding the Hinduism superstition to these movements, they're adding their own new Western, modern Western wooism to these movements, but they're using Hindu labels to these spiritual Western things to make it seem more ancient and authentic. Again, there are some yoga teachers that do that, and in my experience, those yoga teachers that do that actually don't even have good stretches in their classes, right? You're constantly sitting and doing and trying to find the frequency of the universe, and trying to let me get my in the same tune as the frequency of the universe. Why are we wasting time? I'm falling asleep. I want to do some stretches. I would wasted an hour of my time. I'm never doing that, teacher, again. But the classes that are focusing on stretches, they are good, and there's been proven medically to be good. Okay, I mean, just stretching in general is good. It doesn't matter what you call it. There you go.
Yoga is just a school of thought in Hinduism, which is spiritual BS. But these body movements are just exercise. Take that from an ex-Hindu.
I know, that's what I'm saying. But so yoga, for example, when Krishna was talking to that prince about how his dharma means that he has to go kill a whole bunch of people, that he has to actually go to war. What was that guy's name that Krishna was talking to? Yeah, he was talking about yoga, right? It was about yoga. He wasn't talking about stretching in the middle of a war zone, right? That was about an ideology. Okay, it's not about stretching. Yoga originally is not about stretching. It's an entire spiritual ideology. Okay, a small part of it is about certain body positions, and some people just took that body positions and turned it into a stretching spirit movement, and then that stretching practice that is independent from the original ideology end up actually being good, not because it was tied to the ideology. It's good because stretching is good. Okay, it's not even exercise. Only people who don't exercise think yoga is exercise. This is not exercise. Okay, this is not exercise. You have to be very.
What are you talking about? Yoga's hard.
For lazy people, yes, very hard.
No, even in fit.
No, okay, it's hard, but it's not exercise. Yeah, it's hard, but it's not exercise.
Yeah, it's a form of stretching.
Yes,
but
okay.
It can really get
don't call it. Yeah, it can, but it's not exercise. Okay, if you're not burning calories, if you're not out of breath,
oh my God,
you're not exercising. Come on,
Well,
guys.
If you do that hot yoga, you are burning calories.
Okay, fine. fine. But you need to, it's there. Okay, if you're doing yoga for exercise, you could do better exercises. Do yoga for stretching. Stretching is good.
Oh my god.
If you're doing yoga for exercise, walking is better exercise than yoga. Just walking your dog outside, you're gonna get better exercise than yoga. Okay, it's true. Walking, just slow pace walking is better than yoga for exercise. Yoga is good for stretching. Anyways, yeah. All right. Highlight some comments until I find the next news.
People were just talking about like how Americanized like North American yoga is. Like, and I thought that was a good point. Like, in a lot of ways, yoga in the US is already very removed from the spiritual aspects to it. And then, like you were saying, a lot of people like insert their own new age nonsense.
See, here's the thing. If people need to think like something is ancient and special in a way to move their butts, just go with it, okay? So here's the, no, I'm serious, right? Because if stretching is not called yoga and people just show like, hey, here's some study. If you stretch here and you stretch here, this is going to increase your mobility, okay? Because if you only lift weights and exercise and don't stretch, at some point you might like get old and you're not going to be able to move your body in certain positions, and that's not good. So stretching is important. But if you show people like, hey, here's some data, stretching is good, people are like, yeah, okay. But if you like, this is ancient practice and that like, oh, it's special, it's old, like people are like, oh man, I'm gonna get like so this then you're gonna get some people might actually end up stretching. Whatever, just don't believe in nonsense. If it makes you feel special, do it. I do that with certain things, but while knowing that the superstition part of it is nonsense, okay? But it's not the fact that it's yoga that makes it helpful. It's the fact that stretching is good. That's it.
Well, I mainly find it hilarious that like this was done to combat a rise of Hinduism, or like this is violating the religious beliefs of these children's parents. Like
these idiots, insane. Yeah, so you know what? If these people do not stand as strongly against anything biblical, they need to be called out. Of course not. Yeah.
This is violating the beliefs of their parents. Oh my god.
Hey, here's an idea. Just show them Jesus. No, not Jesus yoga. Jesus something else, and it will be okay and help. Wait. Jesus stretching prayer, stretching something.
Catholics do that.
Stretch with the Lord.
Catholics do that. There's a whole style of pilgrimage where you essentially prostrate yourself all the way to your pilgrimage.
That can be good for your back.
You're basically, I can't remember what it's called, but you're like kind of doing the sign of the cross like for miles and miles and miles.
Can you pray in a can you make prayer? I'm trying to figure out if there's a way to make prayer stretchy. I don't know. I don't know. They need to come up with a way that you could pray to the Lord and stretch it. I don't know. And basically do the same yoga movements, but now call it Jesus stretches. Stretchy, flexible Jesus.
Stretch for the Lord. Get swole for the Lord.
Okay. Wait, Katie's saying there's a yoga position.
That was my favorite one in class. That was my favorite one.
Where you just lie down and
corpse pose or something? That's what we called it. Guys, like Google Catholic prostration, and you just see like a picture of the Pope like flat on his face.
Yeah. Anyways. Cool. All right. Can we clap for the next news?
Let's do it, just because.
Next news.
Creationism could now be taught in Arkansas science classrooms. So this is freaking crazy. On April 7th, Arkansas's House Bill 1701 passed the House with a vote of 72 to 21. This bill would allow Christian beliefs to be taught in public schools. Representative Mary Bentley sponsored this bill, stating that House Bill 1701 will result in healthy classroom debates. This bill will let public school teachers teach students in grades kindergarten through 12th grade about the Christian theory of creationism, in which the universe is created by a divine entity. The same law was considered by the United States Supreme Court in 1987 and rejected. State Representative Deborah Ferguson challenged the bill's legality, asking, why would we teach creationism when the judicial system has repeatedly ruled that it is illegal? Senator Greg Leding noted that he would vote against House Bill 1701. Renee Schroet-Lewis, a professor at the University of Arkansas and a Christian, stated that it might confuse the young students if they are taught the creation theory in their formative years.
You think?
Yes. So this is insane.
How is this even possible? This is the United States, your country. This is the country that has sent people to the goddamn moon, and they're teaching creationism in biology class, in science class. Okay, this is not even in Christian theology, I don't know, history of religion, studying, religious thought. This is being taught in science classes. In science classes. To start a debate? Well, why didn't you teach everything then? Why creationism? Why not teach, like, I don't know, native Indian creation story?
Mm-hmm.
Why not teach them teach the Gilgamesh in science class?
Ooh, I like the sound of that. Well, not in science class.
No, this is a problem. This is a science class. Why is the creation story? No, you guys are competing with science in science classes. This is insane. Are you ashamed, Susanna? This is your country. Look what's happening.
And where half my family is from.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a mess. Well, okay, here is my hope. That, this still has to go through the House Senate. So there is still the potential for this to be, not pass the Senate and it wouldn't come into effect. But yeah, this is a nightmare. And
how is this constitutional? Is this not against the Constitution?
What Ghost Bunny is saying, what about the separation of church and state? Leave religion out of school. They can go be taught in Sunday school, but let them learn real science in school. Not only is it like constitutional, the Supreme Court has already previously ruled, like 30 years ago, that it's illegal. You're muted.
Yeah. No, I just said yeah. Don't worry.
So I don't even know why they went.
Challenge?
I don't know.
Freedom from Religion Foundation. Where are you? Somebody call Dan Barker.
Somebody call Dan Barker. Send out a bat signal, a Barker signal.
Who are you gonna call? Dan Barker or Freedom from Religion Foundation? No, seriously. Somebody call Dan. Like, I'm pretty sure they know about this.
Oh, they're on it. Yeah, we'll scroll down. American Atheist tweeted about it. They said, shame. The Arkansas House just passed an unconstitutional bill that allows public schools to teach the Christian theory of creationism as science.
I seriously should buy a shame bill. Wait, I have something similar. Shame. No, but I need to buy an actual shame bell.
I can't stand you. Oh my God.
No, this is gonna get challenged, right?
Well, I mean, I would assume that if it does pass the Senate, then yes, it would be challenged.
Oh, okay.
Because right now it's not in effect. So that's why I said.
By the way, here's another proof that the United States is dumb. How do you pronounce this part that I highlighted? Just the
Oh
part.
my gosh, not
no,
this.
no.
Kansas.
Okay, so this is Kansas. Okay, just the only part I highlighted. Okay, so if you add R instead of Kansas,
so
it should be Arkansas. But no, for some reason, this is Kansas. And how do you pronounce this as a whole?
Arkansas.
Why? Why? It should be Arkansas. If this is Kansas and you add R in front of it, it should be Arkansas. Why would it change?
English. Explain, America. Explain.
Yeah.
Honestly, it probably has something to do with accents.
No, it's because English is dumb. I don't understand how English became the global language. I don't understand how English. Yeah, it's just that. Okay, never mind. Cool.
As someone with heritage in Arkansas, I am insulted.
Good.
Good. Screw you.
Wait, hold on.
I'm not certain when the Senate will vote on this, the state Senate, but they have to reject this, and if not, we're gonna call Dan Barker.
Okay, I have the next news up, and they're trying to make me subscribe, and there's no way to make it go away. Or am I being dumb? Hold on, look at what it. Look, this is the next news. Oh wait, this is it. Here it is.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
No, because I had the dark mode on, and that whole close button was not showing.
Okay.
Anyways, can we clap for the?
Yes, we can.
Next news.
Next news. The nuns are growing and growing more diverse. So over the past couple of weeks, we've been talking about a lot of new statistics coming out about how church membership has dropped to the lowest it's ever been. It's below 50%. So less than half America attends church. And we've been kind of going over different takes on this news. So I thought this was a new take on these statistics and analysis that I thought was interesting. Okay. In the book called The Nuns, Where They Came From, Who They Are, and Where They Are Going, author Ryan Berg, a political scientist and a Baptist minister, discusses the questions many people have about religion and non-religion. Berg states that religious disaffiliation has risen in every generation, but the sharpest spike in nuns, meaning they answered none when asked to disclose a religion, or none meaning no religion. The sharpest spike in nuns occurs with the millennials. In his book, he asserts the influence of secularization and the growing polarization of politics as the reason for more people leaving religion. According to Berg, quote, church attendance is the first thing that goes, then belonging, and finally belief, in that order, end quote. One of his critical arguments is as the nuns have increased in quantity, they are also becoming more diverse. He states that men compared to women or parents, in contrast to people with no children, are more likely to be a nun. Among African Americans, only 14% of nuns are self-identified atheists or agnostics. In comparison, 40% of nuns in the white population identify as agnostic or atheist. The lower percentage among African Americans is likely resulting from the stigma against atheism within the community.
Right. By the way, if you don't believe in God, it doesn't matter if you identify as an atheist or not. You're an atheist. Oh, I don't identify as an atheist. Cool. You're an atheist, though. But I would not call you an atheist if you don't want to be called an atheist. But by definition, you are one if you don't believe in God, right? So there's, so when you look at the polls and you see the results, when you see the atheist part, if they count atheists as the people who say they're atheists, you're just getting the number of people who identify as an atheist. Self-identify as an atheist. But if the question was, do you believe in God? And the answer was no, then usually that number of people who say no is more than the people who say they identify as an atheist. And that number is the more accurate number of atheists, right?
Yes.
So people who say they don't believe in God, people who say no to if they believe in God, that number is a better representation of the number of atheists than the number of people who identify as an atheist, right? So there's that. By the way, Kenji was saying, I don't know people who identify as none. Well, the reason why we call them nuns is not because people identify as none, is because that's an option on polls when. That's why
how
this
they answer a survey. It's like, what is your religion? Christian, Buddhist, whatever? None.
Yeah, but in surveys they have nuns for everything. Like, I don't know, what's your diet? I don't know, what's your diet? How do you exercise? There's
how many times do you drink a week? None.
Yes. So there's always a none option. Well, not always, but in surveys.
Often.
So when it comes to religion, they have a none option, and that's why we refer to them as none, not because people identify as nuns.
And they might not have a box for atheist or agnostic when asked what their beliefs are. It could just be no belief or religious belief. So that's why. Yeah, but you're right. I've never heard anyone be like, I'm a nun, but it's just kind of a statistical thing.
Yeah, but some people try to, because these people don't have their own option on surveys, and they check the non-box. Some people just ran with it. Like few people, very few people. Like, let's just, like, we used to have the non-conference, right? It was the non-conference was like basically trying to be an umbrella term for atheists, like, non-religious people who are not an atheist, but for all these people that don't fit into any of these categories. Because this is an option on survey, some people are like, hey, it would be cool if we actually make this a label, just for lols, I guess, right? Not because they're being serious or anything like that.
Yeah, just right? Like funny.
Just like funny, yes.
But what I wanted to emphasize with this article, and although this book is supposed to be a very good book to read because it's only about 150 pages long and it's written for like ordinary people, it's not sociological jargon. So I'm pretty interested in reading it. What?
I saw in something comment. I'm gonna highlight after you mention it. Yeah.
Oh, is it this?
No. Oh. Yeah, I will.
Is how the proportion, or not proportion, but non-believers are becoming more diverse in across ethnic and gender groups. I thought that was really interesting. Here's one quote from this interview. In terms of race, the nuns have grown among all groups, but not at the same rate. It's clear from the data that Asian Americans are the outlier here. 30% of them identified as nuns in 2008, which was 10 points higher than white non-Hispanics. By 2019, nearly 40% of Asian Americans had no affiliation. During the same time period, disaffiliation among whites rose 13 points, and for African Americans, it rose just a little bit more, from 18% to 32%. And Hispanics have seen the slowest growth in the nuns, with only 30% indicating no affiliation in 2019.
If I had to guess, I would suspect the reason behind all of this is wealth and access to education. Right? The more you're, so for example, even among the lower, among the demographics that have what's the lowest?
Hispanics have seen the slowest growth.
So if you look, for example, in Hispanics, I would bet, again, I have no idea if this is true. This is just a hypothesis. It's not even a theory. It's not even a hypothesis because it's not an educated guess. It's a guess. I would guess that within Hispanics themselves, the more educated one, or even the people with access to more resources, have a higher number of nuns than the ones with less education, right? So I don't think this is really a function of ethnicity. I think this is a function of access to education and wealth. And because these demographics have less access to education and wealth, that's why they have a less growth rate in nuns. That's my guess.
Possibly. I think there's also a language aspect and a cultural aspect. It's a very large part of it.
Yeah, language as well. Yeah, probably. But mostly education and acts wealth, I think. Maybe. Yeah, but pressure also from it's a circular, like a lack of education might lead into a culture that it's more religious. A religious culture might lead to, I don't know. It's circular. Which comment I was going to highlight?
I think it also depends. Well, not entirely. Never mind.
So I don't understand this comment. Adam is saying dangerous to claim numbers. Do what the religious do.
Oh my God, that's the dumbest thing I've heard today.
Numbers are religious.
Just
counting
people. Just what? Statistics on what religious people do.
Counting your people. Counting people is religious. Don't count your number.
I'm so confused. Armin, put this comment away. This hurts my brain, man. I don't even want to talk about that.
Okay. Yeah. I also saw some religious people streaming. We should stop streaming because that's what religious people do.
Oh, crap.
No, yeah. Why are you laughing? Religious people laugh.
God, is it religious to count, fellas? True.
Wait. All right. So you read some comments while I get the next news.
Okay. What are people saying? Oh, and Kenji is saying, I wonder how they define Asian Americans. Like, is that specifically Eastern Asian, or does that include Middle East, India, Pakistan, etc.? It typically includes India. I don't know about the Middle East. That is a good question, though. Because I think
that's a very good question.
I would be inclined to say that the relatively higher proportion of nuns that they have is partially cultural, and depending on your region, having a more non-theistic practice, possibly. All
right. Should we go to the next news?
Yes.
Oh my God. All right, I'm going to clap.
Not good. Oh, okay.
It's not good, but guys,
we got to clap.
If nobody excited, if it's not torture or abuse or death,
oh no,
or human rights violation, we're gonna. Oh, actually, this is a human rights violation. All right, we won't clap. Next news.
Okay, next news. New law allows medical workers to refuse treatment to LGBTQ people. Coming at us from the great state of Arkansas once again, just really hitting it out of the park recently.
Arkansas.
Oh, God. It's the French, okay? Blame the French.
Okay, fine.
Because you were blaming it on English earlier. Anyways, on March 26th, Asa Hutchinson, governor of Arkansas, passed Senate Bill 289, which is the Medical Ethics and Diversity Act, into law. This bill will give doctors and medical professionals an easy path to deny LGBTQ patients the medical treatment they require. Hutchinson noted that he believes that allowing medical providers this right is acceptable because, quote, because of the federal laws that prohibit discrimination. Human Rights Campaigner, the HRC, and the American...
What? Can you say, like, the federal laws allow?
So he noted that he believes that allowing medical professionals this right is acceptable because, quote, the federal laws prohibit discrimination. So, let me finish the blurb and then
doesn't the federal laws... Okay, go on.
So finish. The Human Rights Campaign and the ACLU are concerned that critical services will be denied to LGBTQ patients. The State Chamber of Commerce is also against the bill, stating that it sends the wrong message about the state of Arkansas. Hormone treatments for transgender patients, patients requiring inpatient treatment for infection, or even grief counseling for gay couples are some of the critical medical care that could be denied. This bill might also allow professionals to refuse to fill prescriptions for birth control or override end-of-life patient directives.
Okay, wait. How is this possible? Isn't this, doesn't this go against constitutional? Like, isn't this banned on a federal level for the entire country? Like, how is this discrimination allowed? I don't understand.
Well,
you just said that this goes against federal laws.
Yeah,
You're the
especially
American
since now
here.
we
Tell us how
have
this
the
works.
Equality Act. Although I think is that more workplace discrimination?
Okay, but how is this possible if we have that? How is this possible on a state level?
Honestly, I don't think it is.
Okay.
People are going to fight this, definitely. But, we run into that problem where we always talk about where it's like, how many people are going to suffer while this is enacted into law during the process of fighting to repeal this?
Wait, what kind of medical
people are going to suffer?
What kind of medical, like is this about medical treatment, like as in any medical treatment? They could refuse any medical treatment because somebody is LGBT, or is it just like transitioning and stuff like that?
Well, it's not technically specific to LGBT. It's just on the basis of that provider's religious freedom.
Holy crap. So they could you could be sick and the doctor could be like, I don't treat your kind over here.
Yeah.
This is what this,
so let me look.
You could have cancer.
This legislation will allow doctors and medical professionals to refuse treatment that conflicts with their religious or moral beliefs.
Okay. Let me understand this.
Mm-hmm.
You could have cancer and you could go to a doctor and you're like, I need treatment. And they're like, you're gay and I don't treat your kind. That's what this is. Can you do that based on this law?
That's my impression is more about the type of treatment. So that typically stuff like maybe abortion, like, oh, I don't perform that because it's against my religious beliefs, or I won't prescribe you hormone replacement therapy because it's against my religious
beliefs. Does it specifically say that, or say, because the way you're describing this, it seems very open-ended on what the doctor decides it goes against their religion. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
Okay, so it's very like you could justify not serving any LGBTQ people based on your religious people, even if it's non-LGBT related.
Theoretically, yeah. So, but then that's where the governor seems to presume that federal law would prohibit that form of discrimination. But someone would have to experience that and then take it and fight it, like.
Okay, just a second, okay?
Oh boy.
If you ever suggest again to me, anyone, that cancel culture is a left-leaning problem, you're a moron. Okay? The people who think, oh my God, cancel culture, the left is coming, and the Dr. Seuss and Mr. Potato Head, and they're usually talking about the people who complain about cancel culture from the right. They're often talking about private companies deciding to make changes to the products they own, or stop making products that they privately own, and anything that could probably stop the cancel culture that they want to stop would require the government coming in and telling private companies that they have no right to stop publishing certain books or changing their products in a certain way because of their values or whatever, right? So these are conservatives who are complaining about cancel culture, and yet there's no solution to what they're complaining about other than government involvement, which they're supposed to be against, right? These are the same people that are like, oh, private companies should be able to do whatever they want. They complain about cancel culture. Yet we have state government deciding to cancel LGBT people on medical treatment. Okay? We're not talking about a private company deciding to stop publishing something that they own, their own product, like some books of Dr. Seuss. We're talking about governments Okay, so cancel culture, government, private companies, government. We're talking about state governments deciding to withhold treatment to people based on their biology. This is real cancel culture, guys. Right-wing people invented cancel culture, and this is the most extreme version of it. What, you want to say something?
Well, I mean, okay, it's not that cancel culture isn't a problem on the left. It is, but it's definitely way more of a problem on the right.
Didn't say it's not a problem.
I
just said
you did in the beginning, but
no. I said to the people, no. Listen to what I said. Pay more attention. Pay attention. I said to people who say cancel culture is a left-leaning problem. Right? So I'm saying to people who think that cancel culture is a left-leaning problem. Okay? There be morons. I didn't say it's not it's left-leaning people don't have cancel culture. Never did not say that. I have seen cancel culture, real cancel culture. And when I say cancel culture, I'm not talking about private companies deciding not to publish their own books. Okay? I'm talking about real cancel culture where they come after you, like in mobs. Okay? Yes, I've seen that. I've been a target of that from the left. Okay? So I'm not denying that thing doesn't exist. Okay? But so I'm talking to the people who say that this is a exclusively left-leaning thing.
Yeah.
And to the people who don't even understand that not only it's not exclusive to the left, it's a bigger issue on the right. Never said it doesn't exist. How could I say it's not an issue on the left? I have been the target of mobs coming from the left. But yeah, go on.
So I want to clarify something. So this is a quote from the governor. He said, "I weighed this bill very carefully, and it should be noted that I opposed the bill in the 2017 legislative session. The bill was changed to ensure that the exercise of the right of conscience is limited to, quote, conscience-based objections to a particular healthcare service." So it is not this right to conscience is not a right to discriminate wholly against someone on their identity, full stop. It's to a particular healthcare service. That's why.
Is that in the law or is that the commentary on the law?
This is a quote from the governor about the law. Yes.
Okay. So that's the problem here. Okay. The law itself is more loose and more flexible than the people who are trying to smuggle this in. Go on.
So I want to provide some more background. Quote, "I support this right of conscience so long as emergency care is exempted and conscientious objection cannot be used to deny general health service to any class of people," Hutchinson added. The governor also believes that allowing medical providers the right to object to treating certain patients is okay because of the federal laws that prohibit discrimination. However, without the Equality Act, which just passed recently under Biden, LGBTQ people are not automatically included. So if it wasn't because of the Equality Act that Biden passed, then they wouldn't even have this federal protection. The bill, as written, provides no limit to the medical professional's right to conscientious objection in any form. A doctor might claim to conscientiously object to treating. Oh, wait, so this is in contradiction to what the governor said. So a doctor might claim to conscientiously object to treating a gay or trans person. And the Medical Ethics and Diversity Act does not expressly rule out such use. The act does not specifically reject discrimination as a reason to care to a patient.
See, there's a difference between the commentary on the law for the people who are trying to make it seem a little bit better than sugarcoated than the actual law. This is insane.
But technically, this conscientious objection could apply to many different groups. Like, this is just an LGBT focused lens, but this could
be atheist. It could be atheist.
Or like, what if it's applied like Muslims against someone from a minority religion?
Right.
Like, this is a huge problem to open this door. that anyone can conscientiously object for like any freaking religious or moral beliefs. So they do say that it doesn't have to be religious, okay? Your deeply held beliefs don't have to be religious. But it's such a horrible precedent to set. It's so dangerous. This is going to end so badly.
This is against everything that's supposed to be how medical, all the moral and ethical standards since forever when it comes to medical practice. Like, read this tweet. I think this lady is saying what I'm trying to say better than I do.
Celeste Williams, who I believe is running for office in Arkansas, says this is immoral. Oh, she's she's a doctor, and I think she's also running. This is immoral. My job is to provide care without judgment, to reduce the risk of disease, to move you towards better health, not to deny treatment based upon any personal, religious, or quote-unquote moral objections. Shame on every legislator who voted for this and Asa Hutchinson for signing it. So I think this means you should break out the shame bell again.
Oh, yeah, okay. I need to buy a shame bell.
Can we get you a cowbell?
Yes. Shame. 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 You know, my dad was a doctor during the Iran-Iraq War, and he was treating people who were like coming from the battleground when they're injured bullets or whatever. And he was on the Iranian side, and they brought Iraqi prisoners to the hospital, and they were injured. And my dad wanted to treat them, and the soldiers there, they told him, you can't treat them, they're the enemies. And my dad told them that if you don't let me treat them, I'm going to leave. Like, you're gonna, he was the only doctor in that hospital, and he was like, you're gonna lose me as a doctor here if you don't let me treat them. So he treated the enemy soldiers. But that was what they were saying. They were like, why you wouldn't treat them? Why you wouldn't treat enemy?
I feel like that has to be some form of UN violation. Like,
well, I mean, they were sending children
there was
run on minefields so I don't think UN at that point violating UN laws was
a concern, but still.
Okay, so let me know if there any comment while I bring up the next news. If you want to highlight anything. Why is this talk? Okay.
Toka is saying religion shouldn't come in the way of humanity or human rights. Arkansas is now no different from India, where some Hindu doctors and nurses refuse to help Muslims and Christians. I think that's a massive exaggeration.
Yeah, guys, things are bad.
Is that written into law? Is that permitted under law? Or is that just something that happens, which is horrendous, and that is discrimination? But I think that's a massive exaggeration.
Yeah, so here's the thing, guys. Things are, don't make it like some people like, oh my God, United States is like Saudi Arabia now. It's like the Islamic Republic of Iran now. When things are bad and you try to exaggerate how bad it is, it's going to divert attention away to how actually bad it is. You know what I mean? It's like, imagine if somebody's like a wife beater, and somebody's like, oh yeah, he almost killed her, and no, he didn't, but now you managed to make it seem like it wasn't that big of a deal. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to exaggerate how bad things are. Already really bad enough to deserve our attention. You don't need to say it's as bad as Saudi Arabia, or as bad as, I don't know, some really horrible other situation that is definitely worse. It doesn't have to be that bad for it to be worth our attention, right?
And Daniel Jones is saying Armin's dad was cool. The Hippocratic Oath rules. Smiley face.
Yes. Yeah, he is. Can we clap for the next news?
Yes.
Next
news. Italy ends censorship of film on moral and religious grounds. Since the dawn of cinema in 1914, Italy's censorship law has banned many artistic works. A survey by Censura, an online exhibition that promoted by the Culture Ministry, more than 700 movies have been censored since 1944, primarily for political, moral, and religious reasons. On April 5th, Cultural Minister Dario Franceschini announced that censorship has been abolished. It will not be possible to prevent the publicity of a new movie or demand modifications for moral or religious reasons. Filmmakers will classify movies based on the age of the audience. A new commission made up of members from the film industry and experts in education and animal rights will verify their decisions. The last major censorship case was against the movie Toto Who Lived Twice in 1998. Traditional Catholics criticized the film as they found it blasphemous and grotesque. So I thought this was really interesting because the Catholic Church was essentially involved in this film censorship process. And they've abolished that influence.
This is actually bad news. You know why?
Oh boy.
Because I mean, to me at least, to people who are out of the loop, this is bad news. Because I just found out right now that they had censorship based on religious grounds up till now in Italy.
I hate when you do this. I hate when you do this. We have good news, and you're like, it's bad news because we had it for this long. Like, God damn.
I mean, come on. I mean, okay, so it's good news for people who knew this.
Oh my God.
And now they realize now it's over. Okay, so for people who oh yeah, we had censorship based on religious grounds in Italy, and now we don't. Yay! But to somebody who didn't know this, this is bad news because they're like, what the hell? A Western European country had censorship based on religious grounds in their films until now. I mean, what the hell? Italy, what the hell? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. So I thought this was interesting.
Qasim agrees with me. Qasim saying, I was shocked how Italy had this up till now. Armin was right in this case. Yes, see, Qasim agrees with me. Qasim is also from Iran. Qasim is from Iran. Here's the reason why me and Qasim are shocked at the same, because I think me and Qasim are both from Iran, right? So we grew up under heavy religious censorship. So when we were under this assumption growing up in Iran, we were grow up under this assumption that nonsensical censorship like this doesn't exist in more advanced countries, right? And now we're like, Italy just now stop that. And we're like, what? So this is why this is a bit shocking to people like us.
So as some background, they've had this system of censorship since 1914, but then a few decades later, Prime Minister Giulio Andreotti decided the Catholic Church should have more control over what audiences could watch in Italy. Since 1949, the result of allowing the church more power to moralize films meant that hundreds of movies would be outright banned and thousands more censored. And I thought this was really interesting. So in one situation, one of the films that was completely banned was Last Tango in Paris. And pretty much every copy was destroyed except for 3 copies, which were preserved as proof of the crime. And there was some other Italian film critics or directors commenting on this, and they were saying that because especially sex in movies was so heavily censored, a conundrum arose as the censorship, quote, also made the films more attractive by arousing the curiosity of the audience, especially in the erotic field. So according to Bob Avati, who noted that censorship of films was not taking place because of their violence. So it was mostly around sexual grounds, which meant that directors had to be more clever about how they presented erotic things. And so they would film things that were more erotically suggestive, but not just overtly sexual, which I thought was very interesting because in many ways that can make it more sexual. You have to really figure out how you're going to eroticize things that are not overtly sexy. And that's very interesting to me.
Let's make a blasphemous art in celebration of this, with the cardinals in Rome. I have some ideas.
Oh no! I think cardinals are like so not sexy though.
We could make them sexy in our blasphemous art, but here's the thing: I think every week we should make a news-inspired blasphemous art. Or 2 news-inspired blasphemous art. We should figure out how we could do that. Right? I think this is perfect for this week. Wait, I was gonna highlight something. Where is it? Toka was saying we are like really targeting Toka today. Sorry, Toka. No, I'm not sorry. What are you talking about? Okay, Toka.
I like how you slap the Canadian instinct out of yourself.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm not sorry.
Toka is saying, "Come on, Armin, please let everybody reach progress in their own pace."
Oh,
no,
that's a bad argument.
That is a bad idea. No matter how fast people are coming out of the dark ages, it's definitely not fast enough. Imagine
like Saudi Arabia allowing women to drive.
Oh yeah, let's just.
They have to reach progress. It's not a good argument.
Don't push them. They will get there themselves. Like no,
Reform 2030.
Let me tell you, nobody is progressing fast enough. No matter how fast you're progressing, it's definitely not fast enough. Like, you think human rights violations can wait? We can wait on like, oh my god, oh yeah, we're violating people's rights on a slower pace. Just let us be. Like, no, this is not something that we want to negotiate with. Like, imagine where slavery would be right now if people were like, oh, let's just society. Imagine all the people that
were at their own pace.
At their own pace. Don't push them. They'll get there. That's everybody. Like, what?
It's unlikely because they're economically incentivized, but they'll get there.
Toka, let's use your argument against China as well. Like, don't push China. Like, oh yeah, let's not push China against their concentration camps. They will grow out of it. Just let them get there themselves. They will get there slowly one day. Don't push them. Everybody will progress at their own pace. This is a really dumb take. Toka, sorry. No, I'm not sorry. This is a really dumb take.
You're not sorry. It's just what cracks me up.
Yeah.
You're like, actually, no.
No, so for blasphemous art that I have in mind, I'm thinking about something involving a camera, like the Pope, because this is about film.
Oh.
Right? The Pope recording 2 cardinals going at it for their own private film.
Oh my god.
Like with a camera. Like he's recording and the Pope like drooling and the 2 cardinals going at it with each other and recording it in celebration of the lesser censorship. The Pope and the cardinals are taking full advantage of the new laws. Yeah.
You know what, Navabi? I like the way you think.
Yes, I do too. All right. All right. Can we clap for the next news?
Yeah, let's do it. It actually is good news.
Next news.
Freedom of speech at stake. High Court cautions cops over complaints of outraging religious sentiment in Mumbai, India. So there's some background to this case. On December 18th, 2019, 4 rock band musicians were arrested by Panaji police for allegedly insulting the Hindu religion during their performance at the Serendipity Arts Festival in Goa. Recently, the Bombay High Court canceled the first information report, or FIR, filed in 2019 against the band members. So this is like a police report. The musicians were arrested under the Indian Penal Code's Section 295, which is about criminalizing people for hurting religious sentiments, essentially, following a Supreme Court complaint filed by advocate Venkata Krishna Kunduru. They were later granted bail after they deposited a surety of 20,000 rupees. The complaint was filed against the song Mantra Kavita, composed by two-time this like prolific musician. Advocate Shivan Desai claimed that the complainant was taking lines out of context to insist that the song hurt the feelings of millions of Indians and a few million abroad. So what's really interesting here in this case is that the judge is basically giving a warning to people who are using what is basically India's version of a blasphemy law too liberally. They're using it too much. So a bench of justices, M.S. Sonak and M.S. Jawakar, observed that the police should be sensitive when registering the offense of outraging religious sentiments, as freedom of speech and expression is at stake. So they go into, I mean, I can get into more details in a second, but about how basically the police are being too liberal when filing these complaints with people.
What does this HC stand for?
High court.
So this is not the highest court. How high are we talking? Mumbai?
I think like a state level.
Okay.
High court.
So this is good. I mean, I guess it's because it's not Uttar Pradesh, right? This is not UP. That's why we're getting stuff like this, right? I mean, this is why we shouldn't treat all of India the same. Some states are better than the others. Mm-hmm. Which state was it that they took us? That they took Atheist Republic to court, like the FIR.
Oh, that was in Delhi.
Oh, that was in Delhi. So that was not the same area that these.
City. Yeah, no, not.
Would this set a precedent for maybe the Delhi court, or no?
I don't think so. Because this is a local state court. Ours was a petition filed straight to the Supreme Court. Oh, yeah, and it has to do with separate subjects anyways. Our situation at the Supreme Court is about holding social media companies liable for blasphemous content. This is about being too excessive with just taking FIRs against people on the basis of blasphemy when it's not. And the thing is, I mean, I can get into the details, but their argument about why this is bad is not because blasphemy is okay. That's not the argument. It's like police are being sloppy or just there's not enough justification for them accepting police reports against people for this because they just people take things out of context. They accuse people of stuff and they just go forward with it. And the court is exactly saying you can't just take things out of context, have people not provide proof of this criminal act. And because if you just do this so willy-nilly, you are violating people's free expression. That's what's at stake here.
Okay, so let's put this in context. First of all, this is the Bombay High Court, and Katie is saying High Court is the highest court in the state. The court above this is the Supreme Court. Yes, and Atheist Republic has been made an example of in the Supreme Court of India. So we have the honor of being Atheist Republic have been taken over all the way up to me. Actually, personally, been taken up to all the way to the Supreme Court of India. One of my greatest honors. But and this is the picture of the High Court. So here's the context to this is not them saying that blasphemy is okay, right? Yes. By the way, so for the idiots who say there's no blasphemy in India, just because you don't call it blasphemy laws, it doesn't make it not blasphemy laws, right?
Oh my God.
If you have laws that says there's a penalty
for hurting religious sentiments,
for that's you'd be like, oh no, there's no blasphemy laws. Yeah, you just don't call it blasphemy laws.
Yeah.
That by definition is blasphemy laws, you idiots. Okay, so yes, you do have blasphemy laws in India, and what this court is saying is not that there shouldn't be any blasphemy laws. They're just saying that you need more proof for your blasphemy accusations, right? So let's just not get like too excited here. I mean, this is good that they're saying like, oh, freedom of speech is being violated if you're not too careful with your gathering of proofs before you accuse people of blasphemy, right? So they think they want to support free speech only to the point where this whole accusation of blasphemy by the police is not being used willy-nilly, which the police are very liberal when it comes to using the blasphemy. Like they're just throwing away FIRs left and right. I mean, we have been the target of that, right? We've seen how easy it is to be accused of blasphemy in India, and you just get filed an FIR. It always starts with freedom of speech doesn't mean you can, and usually you didn't understand.
Like, yes, can.
Yeah, it does mean that, but now the only thing that's happening is that these judges are saying like, guys, make less accusations with better proofs. So they're not saying that it's okay to hurt religious sentiments. They just say, make sure you have proof for it. You want to say something?
Yeah, so I want to give a little more context. According to Bar and Bench, which is basically like a newspaper for court watching, the court also observed that, quote, the complainant precisely chose to pick out sentences or word on the basis of which a vague complaint was filed, which did not even spell out the basic ingredients of a Section 295A of the IPC. According to us, there was no justification whatsoever for the police inspector to hurriedly register such an FIR. The police authorities are expected to be quite sensitive in such matters because what is at stake is the freedom of speech and expression. Therefore, unless the complaint discloses the ingredients of the offense under Section 295A of the IPC, it is not expected of the police authorities to rush and register an FIR in this case. And they even go on to say that there has to be a malicious intent. Wait. Shoot, where was it? So basically, like, these guys were singing a song, and apparently it's like a musical adaptation of a poem, and this person just took the lyrics out of context and said they're using abusive language towards Hinduism, and this is offending millions of people. Meanwhile, there are also millions of Indians who aren't offended by this. And it's so funny with many of these like blasphemy cases in India. It's so common that I see them saying that you've offended millions of Indians and several more million abroad. They always bring up like the Indian community abroad. Like, I don't know why that's relevant, but I keep on seeing that come up.
They're reminding you of their powers outside of their borders, their voting base, and the way that they could make things difficult for you where you live. This is what they always try to do. They're like, don't think you're safe because you're outside of India. We're everywhere. That's what and again, these people act like they're speaking on behalf of all their people, and they're not, right? Yeah. Most of our fan base comes from India, for example, right? These people are like, oh, you're offending Indians. They're like, yeah, we have our biggest community in India. We have our biggest community in India.
Okay. So, so there's this condition where it's like it has to be deliberate and malicious intention to hurt religious feelings of the Hindus. So, like, that's the argument. It's like, oh, if it met that condition, then it would be totally fine to penalize you for this.
Are there any stories in Hindu mythology where one god is offending the other god, or there's a struggle, or there's like some butthurt god because of another god?
I mean, I'm not the right person to ask.
Yeah, because if there is, we could make a blasphemous art where that god who offended the other god has a FIR filed against them and is going to jail because of offending religious sentiments, because being offensive to another god, right? Because some people worship that. Wait a minute, yes. So
if
Brahma,
we had like we could if
Brahma
the
and Vishnu
monkey-
were fighting at the beginning of like the part of the creation story is Brahma and Vishnu were fighting over who's the more powerful god, and they were insulting each other, I guess.
Mm.
So they were both blaspheming. Like there are so many people who worship Vishnu. So Brahma insulting Vishnu would be blasphemy because it's hurting the religious sentiment of the people who love Vishnu. So Brahma should have an FIR filed against them.
The
We could
first
do
thing I
something
thought of was, well, this is Chinese mythology, but the Monkey King
Oh yeah.
and how he's like challenging the Jade Emperor and then also the sage. I can't remember his name.
No,
Like,
let's
I feel
focus
like
on
that'd be a good one.
Hinduism. This story is very good. Shiva beheaded one of Brahma's head in one story. Yeah, I remember that story. Because he was, well, who was he? Brahma's heads kept on growing because he wanted to look at this girl, and he moved around, and she was getting uncomfortable. Instead of turning his head, so he kept on looking at her. This is like a scary movie situation, right? Like, and she moved away, so he stopped looking at him, and instead of turning his head, another head grew, so he could keep looking at her. Imagine how
God.
freaky!
That's so scary.
And then he kept on moving, and another head grew, and then she kept on moving, so he stopped looking at him. Another head grew, so he keep looking at her everywhere she goes, and then I don't know, she jumped up or something, and the fifth head grew up like upwards, right?
God.
And then Shiva came and beheaded that head. And by the way, that was his daughter,
Oh my
that
God.
he was, that was his own daughter that eventually he married. This is like some freaky stuff, right? This is like
freaky stuff.
This is like a scary movie situation, but this is like a blasphemous against Brahma. So yeah, Shiva should go to jail. We should make it so Shiva is having an FIR or like is being arrested by Indian police for insulting Brahma. That should be a
I feel like that's also just like bodily harm.
Yeah.
You're going. This is an FIR for bodily harm.
No.
Dismemberment.
Religious
sentiments.
No, religious sentiments matter more than bodily harm. Okay. All right. Wait. Let me see. Okay. So
Katie's saying it was a ritual where you go around a god or fire as a sign of worship or devotion. Does this have anything to do with Agni? I learned about Agni recently.
Agni is the one who uses, like, the reason why you have fire everywhere is because Agni is supposed to be your between you and other gods, because he acted like the messenger, right?
Yeah, but
like
that's partly why you go around fires, is like
to
communicate with him.
Yeah, and Diwali, the fire is supposed to represent Agni. But other gods, they don't bother with humans. Agni is the only one that is cool with humans. Like the other gods, they think like humans. Why waste my time with them, right? So that's why Agni, who is cool with humans, you talk to Agni, and Agni might like talk to other gods on your behalf, like something like that. Oh yeah, this is the woman, the goddess.
Saraswati
was going
around
Brahma,
and Brahma grew ahead to look at her. She went up to the sky. Brahma grew ahead on top of his head.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Look at her. Oh my God.
Yes, exactly. No, I'm not. Don't read that. Just
I don't think Katie meant to spell it that way.
I think she did. I don't know. Anyways, but yeah, she is both. She was her daughter, but he married. Guys, you think Islam has child marriage, right?
Yeah.
Islam has child marriage with the Prophet. Hinduism has child marriage with their God. Like their God has child marriage, but not any child. Their God marries ancestral, marries his own daughter. That's how bad Hinduism gets. So you think Islam has problems? I mean, it does. To be
fair, it does. It definitely does.
All right, cool. Wait. Oh my God! Yes, guys, I know. Agni was one of the all elder gods. It became yes, the newer gods are the tree gods of people like Armin. I hope you understand that the older gods. this is like Game of
still
Thrones
stuck
stuff.
around.
They still stuck around, but this is like Game of Thrones stuff. The old gods or the new gods. The new gods are basically Vishnu, Shiva, and Brahma. The old gods are Agni, Indra, and I don't know the other guy. But yeah, they became less popular, which is
they're
dumb.
an older generation. That doesn't mean that
which
they're
is
not
so
there.
dumb because Agni is the coolest. Have you seen images of guy? He's like a fire god that rides on a goat. Like, just
it is a really cool goat.
Why did that god became less popular? I don't understand. Yeah. Anyways, next. Yeah, see, goddess did mean that. That's how crazy Hinduism is. Okay, that was not a mistype. That's we can't even read that. Sorry for YouTube. Yeah, I mean, we can. How can YouTube tell the difference? Yeah, there's
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I don't know what YouTube rules are. All right, can we clap for the next news?
No.
No, we can't even read this. Okay, we can actually.
Yeah.
We can use codes. Next. Oh wait, we can't clap. Where am I clapping? Next news.
Take it back. Oh, okay.
Anti-clap.
Right. Okay. Okay. ISIS recruiter murdered gay man and injured another for committing grave sin of holding hands. On October 4th, 2020, 21-year-old Abdullah, and they don't give his full last name, they just say AAH. So, using a large kitchen knife, stabbed two tourists who were visiting the eastern town of Dresden, Germany. Abdullah was granted refugee status in May of 2016 in Germany after traveling from Aleppo, Syria. He was tied to the killing after investigators discovered DNA evidence on the weapon, which remained at the scene of the murder. He faces one count of murder for fatally wounding Thomas L., 55, and one count of attempted murder for injuring Thomas's partner, Oliver L., who was 53. His trial for this attack began on April 13th, 2021. Abdullah told the court psychologist that his only regret was not being able to kill Oliver, so the survivor. During the Dresden Higher Regional Court hearing, Abdullah said that he believes that the couple committed a grave sin by holding hands in public. In 2018, Abdullah was sentenced to spend 2 years and 9 months in jail for allegedly planning a suey bomb, using some coded language, attack with other militants' help.
Why would you use the B word? You censored one of them, but not the other one.
I don't know what to say.
Sui boom boom.
Sui boom boom. So this was something I wanted to highlight for a couple of reasons. One, my understanding is that especially in Arab culture, men holding hands is fairly common and actually like a very normal and appreciated sign of affection for two men.
Was this guy Arab?
No, he's from Syria, I believe. So I don't know.
Yeah, so maybe culturally Arab. He was. This happened in Germany, right?
Yes.
Was this guy born or raised?
No, he's Germany? A refugee.
Refugee, right? So Syrian culture might be different from Gulf Arab culture. I don't know, but I mean, I'm pretty sure he knows what the holding hands means in Germany. Sorry, I can't talk.
Yeah,
but, yeah. So I'm like he's not he knows what it means. Like he can be like, oh, why are you against this? So, yeah. I mean, I don't know. How do you even comment on this? This is so disgusting. Like, you know, when some news items are like outrageous, but not this level of outrageous, you get triggered and you have commentary. But when something is this bad, I don't even know sometimes what to say. It's just so bad and so obviously bad that it leaves no room for commentary. I guess we could respond to people saying, "Oh yeah, maybe there's some commentary on people who might want to talk about look what's happening to Germany because of letting refugees in there."
Well, that's what I wanted to highlight, because what I thought was really messed up about this case is a lot of the timeline of how things went down. So This guy is only 21 years old. He came to Germany as a refugee in 2016. And since then, he has been in and out of institutions for terrorism, using coded language for YouTube, related offenses for years, very early into him entering Germany. So for example, so he was let me try to construct the timeline. So he was granted refugee status in May of 2016 after traveling from Aleppo. So maybe he's not Syrian, but that's where he was traveling from. They just refer to him as AHH. So, so while he lived in asylum, he was trying to recruit more people to ISIS by threatening to cut out the tongues of Christian civilians. And I don't know at what point they discovered this, but he was doing this while in asylum. And I mean, I don't even think I can read what he wrote about Christians. They have a quote of it in this article. So then in 2018, he was sentenced to 2 years and 9 months in jail for allegedly planning a boom boom. Okay. His Facebook profile was covered in ISIS symbols, and it was used for recruiting. And he had a plan to detonate this at a high-profile film festival. And this man had been released from a juvenile detention center only days before this attack. He had been arrested once before in 2017. And with the authorities wary that if released, it would likely be that AHH would attack, as he was categorized as likely to pose a threat to the public safety.
So why was he released then?
I don't know. No. How do you only get 2 months and 9 years for planning something like this?
2 what?
2 months and 9 years for planning a suey boom boom.
Wait, why are you saying it like that? You mean 9 years and 2 months?
No, 2 months. No, 2 years and 9 months.
That's what you meant. Okay. Because you said 2 months and 9 years. Okay.
Yeah.
2 years and 2 years and 9 months.
So less than 3 years. Yeah. For planning an attack like this against civilians with all of his history.
Yeah.
And being in this country in refugee asylum status. Like, that seems crazy to me. I don't know what the legal process is, but I'm like, why is he still here? Like, I don't know what the German asylum process is. At what point he's there to stay.
Wait, so in Germany you could plan an attack and then you go to jail for 2 years only?
Because he was in a juvenile detention center. That still seems insane to me.
No, right now he's 21, right?
Yes.
You said, okay, so how much he's going to get now for this, what he did?
Well, the trial just began recently, which is why we're covering this. It began on the 13th, so we're not sure yet. But he has a long track record of posing a threat. As he was arrested in 2017 with, likely less than a year than entering the country. And the police are like, he poses a threat to public safety.
Okay, but on what grounds is he even in Germany?
Exactly.
Why is he a refugee has a case in Germany because other people are a threat to you, and that's why you're saying I need to be here because my life is in danger somewhere else. But this is the person that is a danger. This is the person that other people are running away from.
Yeah.
The reason why other people have a case, maybe as a refugee, is because of people like him.
Yeah.
So what does it mean when people like him are being refugees? Can you try to steelman the position of even why is he being kept in Germany after all of this? Do you have any steelman? Why is Germany
I mean, I cannot think of a defensible position, but like I said, I don't know German law, and maybe there is a contingency where at this point they have to keep him. I don't know.
I mean, a refugee is supposed to be somebody who's a danger. In danger. not somebody who's a danger to other people.
Yeah.
I mean, he
was granted refugee status. He was fleeing Syria. He is Syrian, so presumably because of displacement, because of the civil war.
I mean, is it this obvious that sometimes when I listen to people who say like, "Oh my God, why are you keeping people in Germany like this?" Sometimes like, is it really that obvious that this is obviously bad, or am I missing something here?
Like, yeah, it's so often used as a right-wing like fear-mongering tool that you have to be really skeptical. But this is just insane to me.
Yeah, but maybe are we like not missing something here, because it's so obviously insane that it can't be this obviously insane. Like, why would Germany keep somebody like this? Like, I'm trying to figure this out. Like, Germany is like a very, like, they're not dumb, okay? I mean, this is an advanced country. They're doing so many things. I mean, their laws are working. It's a modern country that does get things right. Like, this cannot be, we must be missing some details, because this cannot be this obviously stupid. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why would you keep somebody like this in your country?
Well, okay,
I mean, there are refugees in Germany who like left Germany because they're afraid of the ISIS refugees now in Germany.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there were Yazidi women who like escaped to Germany because they were afraid of ISIS, and they were like, "Oh my God, I saw the person who enslaved me. The person who enslaved me, I saw him, and he's a refugee in Germany." And some of them left Germany because they're like,
I would too.
Right. But why would those people get refugee status?
So this guy was a minor when he did receive refugee status. He was a minor. He was maybe, like 16.
Maybe this is it. Okay. Maybe
so then a lot of his previous criminality was as a minor, which is why he got potentially a lighter sentence. But the fact that it was so light is still insane to me.
Did he become radicalized in Germany? Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the reason.
That's a possibility.
Maybe. And maybe he was. But still, doesn't mean you have to keep him. I mean, there must be a way to undo someone's refugees.
I don't know, because at least the way that they reported it in this article, it was that he was threatening Christians in this journal he had, or in letters he was writing when he lived in asylum.
Oh my. Okay. And actually we have friends, ex-Muslim friends, who were threatened in refugee camps.
Oh, it's so common. It is so common. How many ex-Muslim people I get in touch with who have to remain closeted because they are actually in danger of bodily harm from the refugees that they are surrounded by.
Yeah,
and they're terrified.
And these are refugees who are actually have legitimate case because they're ex-Muslims, they're gay, they're Yazidi or something, and they don't feel safe in the refugee camps. And when they come to shows with us, they're like, they are refugees themselves, and they're wondering, why are you letting these people in?
Yes.
Like, I'm running away from these people, and you're letting the people that I'm running away from, the reason why I'm running away is because of these people, and you're letting them in, right?
Yeah. Like, I mean, there's so many times when people from these communities, they'll say, like, I am shocked by the naivety of the West in situations like this. Like, through very often, like, warm-hearted, well-intentioned, like, liberal mindset. Like,
yeah, and here's the thing. We're not anti-refugee. No. We have met so many people who personally know, like, I know statistically there are a lot higher number of people, but even just me and Susanna know people who need refugee status, right? Like,
so many
people. Like, there are so many legitimate refugees, people that need asylum, right? And they need help, right? So, like, when we are questioning why some people are getting refugee status, is not because we're anti-refugee. We want the refugee status process to work properly, because there are many people who legitimately need it, and they're behind, waiting in line because of so many people who don't need it, and so many people who are not only don't need it, don't deserve it, are being,
or they need it but they don't deserve it.
Yes.
That too, to be honest.
That too. And many people who are acting like they need it, but they just want better opportunity.
Yeah, better lifestyle. That's
guys, and again, we're not against. Here's another thing: we're not against migration for economic opportunities. We just think if you're migrating for economic opportunity, you should go through work visas or student visas or stuff like that. The refugee avenue should be left alone for people who are in danger, in immediate danger. Because if you are using the refugee window for not because your life is in immediate danger, but because you just want to go live in a better country, you are basically actively putting people who are in immediate danger behind. They have to wait longer in line because you just want to upgrade your lifestyle.
Yeah.
And so many of these people try to come up with ways to say their life is in immediate danger, and it's not. They want to feel somewhat safer, or they just want to live in a different country, and they come up with stories for why their lives are in immediate danger, and they're not. And legitimate cases where their life is in immediate danger, you are betraying people who their lives are in immediate danger because you just want an upgrade in your lifestyle.
People have asked me if they should lie on applications, and I get enraged. I'm like, are you kidding me?
You're putting people at risk. People who actually need this, you're putting them at risk because you're lying. Yeah.
And then it requires extra scrutiny. And like it messes up the whole system. And I think Marcy is bringing up a good point, is what matters is failed protection of German citizens. And I think this is a huge problem. Like, I mean, it's not that that's the only thing about this that matters, but there was a massive failure to protect German citizens. I don't even know if they actually were, just the general public.
Yeah, but this is not the only thing matters. Like this matters, but also the refugees who are being denied legitimate refugee status, their lives, that matters too, right?
Yes.
I'm not saying Marcia is saying that that's the only thing that matters, right? But yes, that does matter.
And I think that there has to be some sort of review of how this was even allowed to happen, given this guy has a history of arrests and police documenting him as a threat to the public safety since 2017, like likely less than a year than he entered the country. So as a minor. And what was significant about this was, where did it go?
By the way, to all the right-wingers who say oh, you can't talk about this. If you talk about this, then you're racist. This is like a very left-leaning. No, like a lot of right-leaning people say oh, this is what the left doesn't want you to talk about refugees, or this is what left-leaning people would not cover this. Like stuff like this. This is a very, very left-leaning publication, right? Not very.
It's literally a gay publication.
Yeah. And, so a lot of right-leaning content creators, they make it seem like to get information like this, you have to go to the right-leaning people sources because other people won't talk about it. But you can see right now that they do.
And another reason why I wanted to highlight this was the attack deeply alarmed government officials, with it reportedly being the first known Islamist-motivated killing of a gay person in the country. So, I think that highlights a lot of significance of this, and it seems like such a red flag or like an alarm bell to me. Especially when I was reading this, I was shocked about his criminal history and how light of a sentence he got for, the plans that he was making. It's crazy.
Okay. Anything you want to highlight in the live chat?
Mendicant Bias is saying German intelligence agency failed their citizens. To be fair, I don't know how much of this. I don't know if this is an intelligence problem so much as it's criminal justice problem.
Yeah, it seemed like the intelligence agency were doing their job pretty good because they kept on catching these guys before they did something. In fact, the intelligence agencies are doing their job if every time this guy plans something, they figure it out and they stop him. So that means they're right on it. It just seems like they just keep releasing the guy, or not sending him back to Syria. It seems like it's the justice system that is failing the citizens. Okay. Can we clap for that? No. We can't. Okay.
Oh, yeah. The rest of this is just news on Pakistan because it's just been wild.
Right. Wait, let me
kind
see.
of good news because I always try to put good news last.
Okay, bad news with a good spin. Is that fair?
There's no good spin to this one.
Okay. Wait. Okay. Oh, you're saying the last news is a good one.
Yeah.
Okay. Next news.
Christian women face death penalty in Pakistan after removing Quran sticker. 2 Christian nurses, Mariam Lal and Nush Rouge, faced the death penalty in Pakistan after they removed a sticker highlighting a verse from the Quran from a colleague's locker while they were cleaning it. On April 9th, a violent mob appeared at the emergency department of the civil hospital to attack them. Some of the protesters were chanting, "Beheading is the only punishment for a blasphemer." Both of them are in custody at the Civil Lines police station. During the riots, Lal was stabbed by a colleague who worked at the hospital. A colleague stated that, quote, "a Muslim can't keep quiet against blasphemy to his prophet." A far-right Islamist group called Tehreek-e-Labbaik Pakistan, or TLP, prompted the violence, and people were calling on the pair to be hanged. This is one of the many incidences in Pakistan where women of minority religions are caught in the crosshairs of the nation's blasphemy laws.
I'm gonna. So here's the thing. Pakistan. Let's just be clear. The fact that this death penalty exists for
blasphemy
in Pakistan is insane. Let's put things in context. Pakistan has put so many people on death penalty for blasphemy in the most bizarre cases. This doesn't even shock us anymore. Like, there are people who got in trouble for blasphemy for throwing away a piece of paper that they didn't know Muhammad was written on it, right? So, however, now I'm just wondering, but however, Pakistan, the government itself has not yet executed a single person for blasphemy, even though they have been on death row.
There are over 80 people.
80 people on death row for blasphemy. But not a single one of them has been executed. Every single person in Pakistan that has been killed for blasphemy has been killed
by a
mob, right? Not by the government, okay? At this point, I'm wondering, and I'm just wondering this, I don't know if any of this is true. If the government is putting people on death row to protect them from the mob, because these people, as soon, like when they get released, when they are out in the public, when these accusations go out, they are at risk of being killed by the mob all the time. Especially given that a lot of radicals in Pakistan don't even trust the government. They think that they know that no execution has been taken. Like they don't. Some people don't even report blasphemy. They just carry out the execution themselves because they think like, well, the government is not going to do anything. We have to take the law into our own hand.
Oh yeah,
right. So
they'll just ask people to death on the street. That happened a few weeks ago.
The thing is that the justice system in Pakistan is actually afraid of the Islamist.
Yes.
Like is actually the judges, the lawyers, the entire system lives in fear of what could happen to them if they ever, any lawyer who represents one of these people who is accused of blasphemy, any judge who has and one reason why these people just stay on that blasphemy accusations for a long time is because nobody wants, like, the government doesn't want to come and execute them, and there's no judge that wants to also say that they're not going to be executed, because that judge's life is now at risk by saying that this person is not guilty, right?
Like Salman Taseer.
Yeah, so these people
executed by his own bodyguard for pushing against the blasphemy law.
No, yeah. So this guy, there was one governor, for example, in Pakistan, who didn't even suggest that blasphemy is okay. He just should maybe we shouldn't be killing people for blasphemy. And guess what? His bodyguard killed him for saying that. His bodyguard killed him not for blaspheming. His bodyguard killed him for suggesting that we shouldn't kill people for blasphemy. And the bodyguard was executed by the government, and there was mass.
He's a martyr now.
He's a martyr now in Pakistan, and hundreds of thousands of people came and celebrated him as a martyr. That's how insane the situation is. They celebrated the man who killed the governor, who he was supposed to protect as bodyguard. He killed the governor for the crime of not blaspheming, for the crime of suggesting that blasphemers shouldn't be killed.
And then his son was later kidnapped by the Taliban.
But yeah, that's how crazy the situation is. Like, it's insane. Like, Pakistan has gone insane, right? And I don't envy the position of the judges. And guys, by the way, as insane as this situation is, we still have secular and atheist activists in Pakistan. Like, I don't understand what your balls are made out of, because they're not steel. There's something beyond.
And let me be clear about something. A mosque was then made in the name of his murderer.
Wow.
They built a mosque in Islamabad named after him. The mosque was so popular that it started raising funds to double its capacity.
Do you have the pictures of the number of people that came out in the celebration of the bodyguard who killed the governor? Like, the crowd sizes are insane.
Well, I can find that just a sec.
Yeah. Let me read some comments.
But I wanted to highlight one thing. It's so crazy that a sticker on a locker removing that is blasphemous. Like, that's what I wanted to highlight, is how diffuse it has now become. Like, it's so ineffable. Like, you never know. And it's obviously partially because this was done by minority women as well. Obviously.
What minority?
They're Christian.
Oh yeah, of course.
And Kenji made a very good point. Blasphemy to his prophet, but the sticker was of a Quran verse. They accidentally credited the Quran to Muhammad.
Yeah.
Like,
no, but they probably didn't know. They were just like, they said, go clean the lockers, and any stickers, like, they were cleaning it. The students, if they have stickers on the locker, they were just removing them. And here's the thing, like, it's written in Arabic, right? So it's interesting because you don't even know if something is written in Arabic, if it's a Quranic verse or not, right? So you just have to assume any Arabic text. It's just like, like in Iran, there was like, some people were doing some experiment. They were writing swear words in Arabic, and people were treating it as if it's Quranic text just because it was Arabic, just to show how insane it is, you know.
Yeah. Wait, I want to show some pictures.
So you just, like, if you're in Pakistan, if something is written in Arabic,
you just don't touch it.
Don't touch it. Don't touch it. It could be the Quran.
So here are pictures of his the murderer of Salman Taseer.
Click on one of the. Click on the 1, 2, 4 one from the fourth one from the left. Yeah, that one. Can you make it? Oh my God, look at these sizes.
This is crazy.
This is insane, guys. These are the people. Let me just make it very clear. These are the people who came out to celebrate this man as a martyr, to celebrate this person as a holy figure. Now, his burial ground is now turned into a shrine. They celebrating this guy as a martyr because he killed a man, right? Killed a man for suggesting
a civil leader.
A civil leader for suggesting blasphemy shouldn't be a death sentence.
Or no, it was really just mercy for Asia Bibi.
Mercy for, just like, guys, let's be more compassionate. You're like, be more compassionate, shut up I kill you. And then people are like, oh my God, this guy's a martyr. These are the people that think that his killing, that the killing of this idiot by the government was unjustified, and this guy's a hero.
A tweet from Ali Rizvi comes up. Let's see what he says.
Yeah, let's read the tweet. God, Pakistan.
Oh my gosh, this is crazy.
Zoom. Enhance.
Yeah. Mumtaz Qadri was executed in 2016. Here are some pictures from his funeral. Look at the crowds full of his admirers. These people think of Qadri as a hero for assassinating the governor who opposed Asia Bibi's death sentence for blasphemy. Look at these crowds. Oh, come on. Give me enhance. Holy crap.
Look at that. Unbelievable. All of these people. This is just in one city.
Holy crap.
Look at this. All of these people think that this man was justified to kill a governor for the mere suggestion that blasphemy shouldn't be a death sentence. All of these people think this man was a hero. These are the people. God damn it, man. Pakistan. What the hell?
It's real intense.
By the way, guys, this was shocking to a lot of Pakistanis themselves. Like a lot of people who are liberal, who live in Pakistan, this was a wake-up call for them, because some of them who live in Pakistan don't even know how bad the situation was. And when they saw these crowds, they were shooketh.
Look at this dude over here has a selfie stick.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God. Yeah. So it's really, again, like I've started paying attention to this issue a lot more recently, right? But it seems like, from my limited perspective, that the rate of this is accelerating exceptionally.
Yeah. And now that the Shias are also targeted, it could get a lot worse.
Yeah.
Because it used to be like secularists and atheists, and now it's getting to Christians. Well, not now. It's been a couple of years. And Christians were being targeted. And now it's getting to, Shias are actually the worst. They're the mushrikeen, right?
Yeah.
So, and there's a lot more of them. So this whole left and right accusations of blasphemy, I don't know how far we can get. Like it was already insane in 2016, and it's getting worse. Like how much farther can this? Like how much? Like this is like we're gonna see how far a country can take it until is there going to be a collapse on its own? Like how? India, just come take your baby sister country. Come on, seriously, this shows you what happens when a country has no culture but Islam. When you have nothing but Islam, to have as a culture. This
is why Pakistani ex-Muslims get it pretty hard. They get it pretty hard because to a lot of their community, this is what our identity is. What do you mean are you no longer Pakistani? They're like, no, what the heck? Yeah.
Yeah, guys. Yeah, separating Pakistan from India was a mistake. Again, me and Susanna, we complain about India all the time. They
ain't this bad.
But not even close. Not even close to Pakistan. Like India, come, your baby sister is drunk. Come take her home.
Well, they're not drunk. That's haram. What are you talking about?
You know what I mean. Just Pakistan and Bangladesh needs to go back to India.
And not specifically not to become a Hindu Rashtra. Okay, that's not what we mean.
Actually, that would save India as well, because
don't say that.
No, because it would not this. It would become very hard for India to be Hindu Rashtra once you have all the Pakistanis there. You know what I mean? I think minorities mixing with each other is the best way to secure secularism, especially if they all have the same right to vote. Right now, it might be too hard to mix them back with each other, but having so many people from different backgrounds and different cultures having to be forced to live with each other and all of them have the same voting rights makes everybody realize like, oh yeah, we need secularism. Real secularism, not made up secularism. Yeah. Anyways.
Wait, turn off about this for anybody. Pictures of Pakistan. This is your country on Islam. Breaks egg over skillet. So that's a reference to an old public service announcement about your brain on drugs, and it's an egg frying in a pan like your brain is frying.
Look, Katie is proving my point.
She's saying trivia. The Hindutva supported the separation of Pakistan because they wanted the Muslims out of Hindu lands.
This is what I'm telling you. The Muslims out of the Hindu lands is what making Hindutva get the whole Hindu state that they want, right?
But
so
when I see
this separation was bad from both. Like it was the destruction of secularism. Was the separation of these people was accomplished in both modern day Pakistan and modern day India. Both of these countries have lost their secularism because they don't live with each other, because they both have that religious majority, and now they could actually challenge secularism because the other people who need secularism are minorities in their country. But what are you going to say?
Well, I mean, when I see a lot of pictures from like BJP propaganda or just like Hindutva, ethno-nationalists, like their image of a Hindu Rashtra, like, it includes Pakistan, includes Bangladesh. Sometimes it even goes down all the way to Indonesia and Malaysia.
Yeah, but they don't understand. Those are the people who don't understand that their entire Hindu identity will completely be ruined if they ever want to take over, unless they take over Pakistan and they make all the Muslims there as like a.
I mean, they are fascists, so.
I know, but if they ever make them like not real citizens or something like that, good luck with that. I mean, probably that's what they actually want. What is this?
As far as Toka is saying, this is the third time Armin is talking about India taking back Pakistan.
Only third time? I think it's
probably more.
Probably more. I will continue to do so. Yes.
This is confusing to me, Toka. Armin and Susanna, rather, I prefer both India and Pakistan disintegrate into its ethnic state nations. They're the same ethnicity.
Yeah,
What?
They're completely different. And by the way, for people who were like, no, Armin, they're not the same ethnicity. India and Pakistan has multiple ethnicities. Yes, and it's the same multiple ethnicities. Almost the same multiple ethnicities in India and Pakistan. And yes, there are some differences, but they are as close as you could get, okay? And also no to ethno-states.
Yeah, got his case.
Oh, yeah,
no.
Katie, yes.
No.
Katie, no to ethno-states.
No to ethno-nations. No.
Yes. No to ethno-nations unless your ethnicity is being targeted
everywhere on the planet.
Everywhere on the planet, just like the founder. And you could then found an ethno-state, but only at the beginning. As soon as you found it, it needs to be mature out of being an ethno-state really quickly. Like, for example, I guess there's makes sense that the foundation of Israel as an ethno-state originally it made sense because the whole world was targeting Jews at that point, right?
Yeah.
But now it doesn't make sense for it to remain an ethno-state.
100%.
Yes, but yeah. So, and Indians and Pakistani ethnicities are not a target all around the world. It's like far from it. They live everywhere on the planet peacefully. So there's no reason, zero reasons for. I don't think there's any reasons for any ethnostates these days right now. Maybe some people.
A lot of people are talking to me about
the
Kurdish ethno-state. That's what. Yeah.
I don't know if it's even close to what the Jews were experiencing. I don't think so. No.
I'm good, but oh my God.
Yeah. All right. Can we clap for the next news?
Yes.
Wait, this is Pakistani news. You're saying we could clap for a Pakistani news?
Yes.
Unbelievable. Okay. Next news.
Pakistan to ban hardline religious party after violent protest. So this is fantastic.
Wait, is this the first time we're getting a good news from Pakistan? I don't remember.
Sometimes we have news about like alleged blasphemers getting released on bail, or or people being found not guilty for blasphemy. So that's always good news.
Okay. No, but from go
ahead. Good news from Pakistan. So Pakistan's Interior Minister, Sheikh Rashid, stated that the far-right Tehreek-e-Labbaik Pakistan, or TLP party, would be banned due to its violent countrywide protests on April 14th. Sheikh Rashid confirmed that at least 2 policemen had been killed and more than 340 wounded during the protests. He said that the ban would be declared under Pakistan's anti-terrorism legislation. I'm using coded language for YouTube. So this is, they are saying that this is a terrorist organization, basically. The TLP, a religious group founded by the Muslim leader Qadum Hussein Rizvi, had made the issue of perceived blasphemy its rallying cry. Since
that guy who died recently, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Since November 2020, the group had been demanding the French ambassador's removal and prohibition on all French goods over statements by French President Emmanuel Macron in 2020. On April 12th, the police arrested TLP chief Saad Rizvi, son of Qadum Hussein Rizvi. The arrest sparked days of unrest, with many TLP supporters starting protests and blocking roads and highways across the country. Violent clashes between the police and protesters were seen on video footage from protests in Karachi, Lahore, and elsewhere.
This is a major group. This is the
huge.
Rizvi guy.
Yes.
I know. I always remember. I'm really bad with names, but I always remember this guy because he has the same last name as Ali.
Yeah.
So, but this
not related.
Yeah. So I also forget this group's name, but until I see their leader name, their leader just recently died. But this is like the major extreme group in Pakistan. It's not like it's not like a local jihadi mom and pop shop jihadi.
This is the most extreme Islamist, or maybe I don't know if it's the most, but
with like a large following.
Yeah. So guys, in the last segment when we were showing you pictures of that funeral, like a lot of that was TLP. Like the mob that was incited against the Christian women who removed the blasphemy sticker, that was prompted by the TLP.
Yes, these people are at the forefront of making sure that people are offended rightfully. like when people are offended, they're like waiting, like, hey, wait, should we be offended? These are the people who are like, yes, people get offended, and people are like, we're mad. These are the people that that are sending the smoke signals for everybody to get mad at something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then people come and like become very violent. So, but some people saying like to ban this. Some people like, oh, this is so mild. I'm actually thinking this is really extreme. Like, who are the politicians who had the balls to even suggest that there should be a ban on this group? And like, this is extremely like, are these politicians now in danger? Because
that's what I'm thinking.
I would be very scared of like even suggesting a ban like this. Like, this is not. These people are scarier than the cops. Like, the cops are scared. The cops and soldiers. I mean, maybe not the army, but the cops are scared of these people. Like, who's going to protect the politicians who are suggesting this? Like, these are hundreds of thousands of these people. If they want to, like, if they just decide, if this leaders of this group decide like to put a target on the politicians, I don't even know how these politicians are going to survive. What are you going to with?
Well, so this is explicitly a political group. Like, they have representatives in like the Sindh Assembly in the state of Sindh. But I want to give you guys some context. So when we showed you guys that funeral for the guy who murdered a governor for asking mercy for a woman who was sentenced to death for blasphemy, he assassinated the governor who he was charged with protecting, right? And then when he was executed for that, he became a martyr and mosques were built in his name. I'm just repeating myself because we're going to cut this into segments.
Right.
But so this party came into existence and subsequently rose to fame after the hanging of this assassin. This came into creation because of this assassination of Salman Taseer. And so, and then the martyrdom of his assassin, right? So from its inception, it's surrounding this issue of blasphemy and maintaining the legitimacy and the threat of being persecuted and prosecuted under blasphemy law.
Let me, yeah.
And so, yeah, it subsequently rose to fame after the hanging of this convicted murderer, which this political party said was unjustifiable, you know, and they demand that Sharia law be the fundamental law of Pakistan, and they have more of a Barelvi influence.
Okay, let's be clear about something. These people do not have majority support in Pakistan, but they have from among the people who are ready to become violent and who are ready to come in the streets and who are ready to take the law in their own hands, from among those group of people, they almost have all of the support of those people. You know what I mean? Like, if
it's gonna come from someone, it's likely from someone who's influenced by TLP.
Yes. Like, you know, so it's true that most Pakistanis do not support this group, right? But from the people who are ready to go the extra mile or even risk their lives and, you know, spill blood or just damage property or attack police, those people in Pakistan, they have hundreds of thousands of support among those people, right? So that gives them a lot of power to be able to be like, to challenge the government, challenge the police. Wouldn't say as far as challenge the military, but the military is kind of like also doesn't want to rock that boat too much, right? You know what I mean? Like, and also the military uses them sometimes anyways. Like, they are sometimes in cahoots. They are against them when it's in their advantage. They're with them. They get used by them.
The Pakistani army is like a whole different.
Yeah, that's a whole different one. So they're like above all of this. They're like looking at it like, hey, look at these cute people, thinking like they're in control.
That's a whole nother barrel of fish.
Yeah, they say, you know what they say about Pakistan? They say other countries, there are countries with militaries, but Pakistan is a military with a country.
With a country.
Yeah, so Pakistan is not a country with a military. It's a military that owns a country. You want to read this one?
Katie is saying, I'm still amazed at how Pakistanis don't elect a far-right party in the government as opposed to India, even though Pakistan has way more religious violence.
Well, that's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah. Because when it comes to election, this group doesn't have majority support. But people, it's hard for people to believe, because every time they want to when they show up in the streets, you see like how hundreds of thousands of people show up and they're extremely violent. And you're like, look at these people. How could they not have majority support? Like, the numbers are astronomical. Well, because they have a high number of people that are willing to take it to the next level. But even though that number is very high, it's still not the majority of people in Pakistan. That's why their power doesn't come from votes, because when it comes to votes, they lose. Their power comes from intimidation. They have the intimidation element playing for them. They don't have the popularity element working.
And one thing that really put that in perspective for me was when you talked to Sean Taseer on Secular Jihadists. So when Karim Hussein Rizvi died, that's when you had Sean Taseer on your podcast, because he is the son of the assassinated governor, Salman Taseer. And Karim Hussein Rizvi put a fatwa on Sean's head, you know, in response to him criticizing blasphemy laws. And he's still a very vocal critic of Pakistani blasphemy law. But when you had Sean on Secular Jihadists, it put things in perspective for me, because he was talking exactly about how there actually is way more liberalism within Pakistan than we're aware of as outsiders, because of the environment of this fear and intimidation like you can't be as open about things, you know? So like we are kind of getting a skewed perspective on Pakistan because it's just not what you hear about as much. Although the Women's March in Pakistan was incredibly notable and I think widely pretty successful and definitely very historic and noteworthy. So there are things that are changing. And I told Ali Rizvi that I want you guys to do a secular jihadist episode about the banning of the TLP. I think that'd be very interesting. But yeah.
Okay. The next news is a website is annoying the crap out of me. Okay, before we clap for the next news, let me show you why it's annoying me. Okay, like this is Vice. They're supposed to like Vice is like a very recognized brand as like a news organization. But look at their website, right? I want this whole black area to not show that much. So I scroll down, so I can't see the title. But now I want to scroll back up to just see the title. Up, look. This is so dumb. So if I want to see the title, the title has to be like halfway through the page. But I was like, no, scroll back up to just see just a little. Nope. Okay, now I see half the title. Like, what
web
the hell?
developers, get on this.
This is Vice. Like, this is one of the most recognized news outlets on the planet, and this is their web design. Guys, we're gonna have the title halfway through. Anyways, we can clap.
Okay. Now they got your complaining out of the way.
Wait, maybe if I zoom out, there.
Yay!
Still not good, but
it's better.
Yeah, there we go. No, hold on. Let me set this right. Hold on. I'm gonna get this right. God damn it! All right, let's just leave it like. I want to get the Quran and the cover. Anyways.
Oh my god.
Next news.
Last news. Atheist Republic founder Armin Navabi speaks to Vice News about ex-Muslims in Malaysia. So I just wanted to highlight that you were featured in Vice recently.
Yay! Wait, but I have to.
Boy.
Finish the news. I'm going to complain later.
No, we're just gonna talk about it.
Okay. I was contacted by this really wonderful reporter, Heather Chen. She was very brilliant, and but I gave her so much to work with. But I was very aggressive with my quotes. Like I went out.
Yes.
I was asked about what I think about the situation of atheists and ex-Muslims in Malaysia, because something recently happened in Malaysia. And they wanted to do news coverage about it. And because Atheist Republic has a history with ex-Muslims and atheists in Malaysia, and the government came after our Atheist Republic members in Malaysia a couple of years ago.
That they should be hunted down.
Yes, the deputy minister actually said that our members needs to be hunted down. And what was the crime? They just showed up and met with each other and had some beers and
hung out as atheists.
Apparently, this was a national threat to Malaysia, that some people in Malaysia consider themselves to be atheists and they're meeting with each other. This became a national emergency, and the deputy minister announced that they need to be hunted down, right? So because of our history by the way, in their parliament, the Malaysian government was asking whether or not they could shut down all this. This is recorded on video.
Oh, yeah.
They were openly asking, while being recorded, if they could shut down Facebook as a whole because of our Facebook page. If they were like, can we remove access to Facebook because people have access to Atheist Republic? I'm not kidding, guys. There's a video recording of this. It's amazing. Like, people are like, no, we can't remove access to this page because then nobody will have access to Facebook if for the sake of Atheist Republic. So this was years ago. But because of that history we had with the Malaysian government. Oh, by the way, I got my first call for beheading from Malaysia. Yay! The best. My first my first call out for beheading did not come out of Iran, Saudi Arabia, Bangladesh, or Pakistan. It came out from a moderate, liberal, modern Islamic country, Malaysia. Okay, so By the way, yours is weird too. Your first call out for came from death. Yeah, your first death threat came not from even an Islamic country. Came from Hindus in India.
Yep. I still have never been threatened by a Muslim. Never.
Not yet?
Never. Okay. I've only received threat of violence or death from Hindus.
Yeah, amazing. So that's why this new thing that happened in Malaysia. It was a court case about this lady who had who was born who had Islam on her ID, but she did not want it. She was like, because she was born from a Muslim father and stuff, she's like, I think she wanted to make it her right that she doesn't want to be identified as Muslim and stuff. And this basically brought up back discussions on the situations of Islam or not being exposed to them in Malaysia. And she asked for my opinions on this so that she could quote me. I gave her so many things. Like, I wish I saved them all because it was glorious. It was so glorious. You guys should have been witness to the smackdown that
the Malaysian government
that I delivered about like the word choice. It was like the things that I called the Malaysian government, you know, and it was all taken noted, but I think the part that was included was my mildest. I think they were like, this is a bit too much. These quotes are a bit too heavy for Vice. So let's see what they picked.
They're like, this boy got some big words.
Yeah,
he's stuck in some big words.
So this is what they quoted.
Oh, so you want me to read it?
Okay, read it.
Malaysia calls itself a modern and forward-thinking country, but atheists and ex-Muslim remain in hiding over fear of violence and death threats, said Armin Navabi, a vocal atheist activist from Iran who monitors religious freedom issues worldwide.
Yeah, and this links to Atheist Republic, which is great because we got another back. I think this is our second backlink from Vice to Atheist Republic, so this is good for our website. Thank you, Vice. By the way, originally...
Oh no, we're just gonna go in.
Do we want to say? Yeah, I want to say this.
Oh boy.
Because they interviewed me, and then they said it's okay, I'm not mad. But originally, this article said Armin Navabi, a vocal
religious activist,
a vocal religious activist. I was very confused about why would they call me a religious activist after like my history and everything I'm saying. I mean, okay, sure. But yeah, again, look at this. What did it say? Malaysia calls itself a modern and forward-thinking country, but atheists and ex-Muslim remain in hiding over fear of violence and death threats. I mean, it's okay. I mean, all my quotes are good, to be fair. So it's fair, but some of the punchier ones are missing. Some of their
Kate Centauri is saying too much for Vice. LOL. You should be proud.
No, it's okay. I think they wanted to make sure people read this and don't dismiss it. That's why they picked that quote. So I get it. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, and I recommend. Wait, go back to the top so we can see the title of this piece.
Oh, by the way, this is MTS. Okay, go.
Yeah. So guys, go on Vice and look up the article titled "Renouncing Islam in Malaysia is Dangerous. We spoke to those who did it." Because not only does it talk about like the background of this court case, but it also profiles 4 Malaysians who now identify as atheists and apostates, and what they go through as ex-Muslims in Malaysia, how their perspective on things. And I really liked that part of the article, was like highlighting these people who live this, right? Like what their life is like, how this affects them, their freedom, and their livelihood.
Okay. America is she's trying to trigger me. I know she's trying to trigger me. It's not working. Nice try. Look, I knew this is it. I knew it. They're trying to trigger me. It's not gonna work.
Is it your religion atheism, Armin? Yes, it is. No.
They're just, yeah. Nice try.
I just want to give a little bit of a taste of one of the profiles
every
of
time
these people.
I see Marcia, I see in my head America.
Oh my
I
god.
don't
Um, so like I just want to give a snippet of this because I think it highlights how deep the problem is in Malaysia. So Lena, name changed, says, I'm Chinese by race and was given up by my biological parents at a very young age. The law in Malaysia states that all Malays, as well as those like myself who are abandoned at birth, must be registered as Muslim. It is even stated on our personal identification cards. After being placed in foster care, I was registered as a Muslim and raised as one. Like, that's so crazy to me.
Yeah.
That's so crazy to me. I mean, one, the idea of having your religion on your identification card is already insane. That's already insane. That's not secular. But then having it mandated that if you're put up for adoption, if you're in foster care, the state makes you a religion. What? And this is the moderate countries that we should look forward to as an example of the peaceful and benevolent nature of Islam. You're muted.
Yeah, this is the best that you could expect from an Islamic country.
They're like Malaysia, Tunisia, Jordan. They're so moderate. I'm like, do you know what goes on there, bro?
No, yeah, but here's the thing. To be fair, like Tunisia is doing better, but still, so there's a lot of problems. But when they do better, it's not because Islam can be moderate or liberal or whatever. It's because they're becoming less Islamic.
Yeah.
Right. Like every time you see improvements in one of these countries, it's not because Islam is becoming a lesser problematic religion. It's because Islam is becoming less influential. So that's how you should see it. You shouldn't be like, oh look, Islam has a chance because he's an Islamic country, and there's gay rights in this Islamic country. Yeah, because Islam is not dominating on this country. That's why, right? And Malaysia and Indonesia is proof. You could see that it's not like some corners of Malaysia. Like, okay, so for example, in Indonesia, it's not like Aceh has a different brand of Islam. It's just that Islam has more reign, more opportunity to influence itself, right? It's not like some parts of the country which are more liberal. It's because they have a different version of Islam. No, it's because Islam is less part of their lives, right? It's a lesser influence in the government. So Islam is always a problem. You can't find like a different version of Islam that is less of a problem. You have less of the problem when you have less Islam.
Yeah, I just wanted to say you guys should also go read this article because it highlights and profiles one of the Atheist Republic members who organized the meeting in Malaysia that became this huge thing that was even brought up at the United Nations. So, be part of our community. Go read the profile of one of our fellow members, in Malaysia. And it's exciting to highlight.
Link is in the description, right?
Yeah, if you go to the description at the bottom, where we list all of the news, it's the last news.
Okay. Oh, Gloria is saying Malaysia remains a neo-colonial state like Taiwan and Hong Kong. And that's probably why they're doing a little bit better, because better sources of influence than Islam. All right. Yeah, let's end this on a very controversial take.
It did come from glory to Stalin.
Oh yeah, neo-colonial. Yeah, exactly, glory. Exactly. So you can see that if you were purely under Islamic colonies, you're doing a lot worse than if you're doing under European colonies. You're one of the lucky countries in the world if you used to be a European colony. You're less lucky if you were only an Islamic colony. I just wanted to
hot take.
I just want to trigger some Stalin lovers right now.
Hot take, and also just like some leftists.
Yes.
All
right, tankies. Thank you.
I love it.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Anything you want to highlight or say before we leave? Oh, yes. Sign up to a newsletter for some sexy, juicy, blasphemous art, which is available to all of you for free. The blasphemous art that we send to our newsletter subscribers, they have no nudity, but they're still extremely juicy and sexy. The ones that have nudity are only available to our patrons. So, but
and we're gonna have some sexy Ramadan art coming up soon.
Yes. Oof,
so,
yes.
And honestly, the not safe for work version of that is gonna be pretty juicy.
But guys,
so
you don't
go subscribe to our Patreon.
Yeah, you can be you can become a patron and you support us that way. But don't worry, if you do not want to be a patron, you still get there's still the safe for work version, the ones with no nudity, they still look very good. They're gorgeous, and they usually come with interesting messages that we include and that comes with each art. So you get all of that for free if you sign up to our newsletter, and we remain subscribed because we send you new blasphemous art
every week.
So subscribe to our newsletter, link in the description. And Toka is saying good stream. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Oh, good night. Bye. Subscribe to our newsletter. Do it. It's Dharma, it's Hikmah, and it's
kosher.
Do it. Do it now.